In this lesson, we'll get started on a small animation project. Our last few lessons are going to be pretty fun. What we'll do is create an animation using the tools that we have learned so far in this course, and we'll also introduce a few other tools that you might find super helpful. Now, another thing we're going to keep in mind here is that we want to make sure that this performance is entertaining, so we'll have to use a few animation principles to make sure that this truly sells as a fun animation, something that is appealing to watch. All right, now, before we get started, I'd like to point out a few things. The scene has no animation, so this is standalone from what we have done thus far in the animation section. Also, this is a good time to check your scene just to make sure all is well before you start to animate. So you'd want to check your control rig. You can see here, if I were to go ahead and grab the center of gravity control, and I start to kind of move that around, you can see that the legs and arms are not parented at all. What I'd like to do is maybe have the arms parented to the center of gravity. That way we can animate them a little bit faster. So let's go ahead and grab the two arms. We'll go ahead and shift select the center of gravity control and press the P key. So now they are parented. Fantastic. If you'd ever want to unparent them, you could always grab the parented objects and press Shift P. You have to be really careful about that, because if we were to go to our outliner, that's actually going to remove them from the mech group. And that's what we don't want to do, because this group is here for a reason, to keep things organized. So instead of unparenting that way, I'll go ahead and press the Z key to undo back. You simply want to parent these to the group that they were once parented under. So in this case, it'd be the controls group here. You just go in and expand the global node. That's Anim Global 01, that control. You'll find the controls group underneath, and then it's just a matter of, again, grabbing the child objects, control clicking in this case the parent object, then you can press the P key. Fantastic. But in this case, we can have these controls parented to our center of gravity. So I'll go ahead and do that. Nice. All right, so once we've managed to do that, you can see when we move the center of gravity now, the arms will follow. Nice. All right, so the next step then is to go in and kind of check the mesh just to make sure all is well. You might notice that at times with instance geometry in Maya, it looks like the normals are inverted, but no worries. Sometimes if you reopen the file, you'll notice that, all right, it's just a little glitch, if you will, but it's nothing to be concerned with. Now, another thing you could do is go ahead and grab the mesh that has been instanced, where the normals again look flipped. You can go ahead and grab that mesh, and you can head over to Modify and choose Freeze Transformations. Now, keep in mind, there's a connection here on rotation of this mesh. So underneath the Freeze Transformations options, if we were to go to Edit and just kind of reset our settings, you can see that all three transform lists are checked: translation, rotation, and scale. In this case, we just need one. We don't need all three, especially for rotation. We want to uncheck that because we have this connection here that will prohibit us from using this tool. So we'll just go and make sure that translation is checked, and then we would choose Freeze Transform, and you notice that that normal issue would be removed. So you don't have to go in and flip your normals. You don't have to, let's say, go to the hotbox, go to normals, and choose reverse. All right, sweet. So once that's done, we can then go ahead and reference our mech layer. So we're just grabbing our controls. It's now time to bring in our set. So let's do that. We'll go to File, and we'll use Import. There's also the referencing tool, which is super helpful. You can learn more about that in our Infiltrator series, as well as the Transformer series that we have, where you learn how to create a transforming robot. All right, sweet. So here's what I'll do. I'll go ahead and jump to Import, and I'll go to the options. Let's go ahead and reset our settings. Sweet. So we can come up with a namespace which prevents name clashes when we import this object in. Sometimes namespaces are a bit tricky because if we're trying to search for objects in our scene, we have to consider the namespace. And I find that it gets a bit challenging, especially if you've created scripts that look for those objects. So I'll go ahead and show you how to remove a namespace after it has been added. So I'm going to go to name this namespace set, and then click on Import. From there we can move over to our assets folder, and then we'll find the platform. Let's go ahead and import that in. All right, fantastic. So this is the platform that our robot will interact with. Now, let's go ahead and do this. I'll just go ahead and hide the grid so that doesn't get in the way. You can see again we have this namespace. I'll go to the outliner perspective view using our template here. So if you'd like to remove this namespace, which is set, and then following that we have a colon, you can come down to your command line, make sure it's set to Mel. All you have to do is left click if it's set to Python, right on top of the language here that we're using in Maya, and that'll toggle between Python and Mel. So once this is set to Mel, you can type in the following. That's namespace, all one word. Then we'll add a space after that, and then we'll add the flag -mv for move. Next, we're going to add another space and then 2 quotation marks. Inside, we'll put the name of our namespace, which is set, exactly the way we see it here. So that's going to be capital S-E-T. And once we've done that, we'll then go ahead and add another set of quotes. And inside, this is where we put our colon. So let's go ahead and add one. And now what we need to do is go ahead and add the flag -force. So what we're doing is we're forcing set into our colon here. This is a trick for removing a namespace. So now watch this. If we try to run this, if we hit enter on our number pad, you can see Maya will go through and remove the namespace entirely from our scene. Fantastic. Now with this group still selected, platform GRP, let's go and create a display layer before we close off this lesson. We'll go to our layer, double click, and we'll rename this set_layer. Now we can go ahead and save this out. And if we need to, we can template this or reference it, or if we need to select any piece on the set, we can go ahead and unreference it so it's brought back to selection mode. Alright, so that's going to be it for this lesson. Let's say we begin animating in the next.